there is some compelling sports talk radio content from La La Land as the Lakers continue to have a disastrous offseason. Very rocky, if you've not heard the latest on this, in a huge embarrassment to the once proud Laker franchise. Guard Austin Reaves, a scrub nobody who's become somebody with the Lakers, turning down a 4-year, $90 million extension, rejecting the Lakers. Says, I don't want your money. I don't need your money. I'm not going to take your money. Opting instead to test the free agent market after the upcoming season. Now, Reaves does have one more year remaining on his contract and a player option, which he's clearly not going to accept. And then he is free to roam around the wacky world of pro bouncy ball. So let us discuss the question. Does Austin Reaves turning down a massive extension, does this mean his days with the Lakers are numbered? The plot thickens. So I've got Taylor Swift, Southern Pacific Railroad, and dart throwing. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to take a nice bath is what we're going to take. So first of all, to answer the question, Austin Reaves turning down this $90 million extension, does it mean his days with the Lakers are numbered? Absolutely. 100%. Now, you can kid yourself and say that's not the case, but the real ones know. The real ones know here that Reaves is betting on himself. Right? He's betting on himself, and while certainly cash is king, every man, woman, and child knows that cash is king. In this case, it's not only about the money. Right? The low information fan will say, oh, it's just about the money, that Reaves declined the deal because he'll be eligible for a $247 million contract, the max deal with the Lakers over 4 years, or a 5-year deal for $247. Then if he doesn't stay with the Lakers, he can leave and go somewhere else and get $183 million. So either way, he's going to get a lot more money than he would have gotten if he had signed the extension. However, there's a bigger underlying condition. Now, don't shoot the messenger here, but there's an issue the Lakers cannot address. They cannot pacify Austin Reaves no matter what they do. And as William Shakespeare in Hamlet said, to be or not to be a headliner. And that's the issue here. Are you going to be an above-the-marquee player? Are you going to be a player that moves the needle? Are those things that are important to you? Are they? Those are questions that Austin Reaves is going to have to answer. Do you want to be the straw that stirs the drink or just an ice cube that melts in the drink? And if Austin Reaves chooses to stay with that ugly-ass Laker uniform, he will never be the man. He'll never be above the marquee. He'll never be that player. He will be pigeonholed to supporting actor. That's it, right? He'll have a seat at the kiddie table, not the grown-ups table, the kiddie table there. And last year they had LeBron and Anthony Davis, and now coming up this year it's going to be LeBron and Luka. And then the third wheel, the tertiary contributor, would be Austin Reaves. So if Austin Reaves hopes to be Taylor Swift and get out there and start crooning, he's got to leave. He's got to go somewhere else. And you can't be the man unless you leave the man behind. And now he can stay with the Lakers and be a backup singer if you want to do that. You know, who wants to do that? Maybe he does. Otherwise, got to get out of there. Right? And you're not ever going to be the ribeye on the menu. You are going to be the Salisbury steak with lumpy mashed potatoes. That is what you're going to be if you stay there. And let's also not forget that Austin Reaves whiffed, absolutely vanished, which I loved every missed shot and every awkward moment in the playoffs against the Minnesota basketball team. So he's betting on himself. But I would be surprised if he stays with the Lakers. I think he's got to have his eyes wandering here. And why would you want to stay with the Lakers anyway? You know, go make your own mark and don't be a second wheel or third wheel, rather, as he is with the Lakers. Now, secondly, speaking of gossip in pro basketball, we go to Milwaukee, where the cheese curds are fresh and the basketball's getting stale. So some chatter here, some rumors. If you thought the ink was dry on the Giannis Antetokounmpo saga, you are a loser. Think again. So we're now hearing that Giannis is still evaluating. OMG. He's still evaluating the Milwaukee Bucks offseason, thinking about a future outside of Milwaukee. Oh, no. So would you translate, please, will you translate the cryptic reporting on the Greek Freak for the regular guy, as his name is back in the echo chamber of sports chatter? So, yes, I will translate to you. Imagine, if you will, Giannis Antetokounmpo wearing one of those cool hats that has the stripes on them from Southern Pacific Railroad. And you see, Giannis is wearing that cap because he is the engineer of the locomotive, the steam engine locomotive, old school, that is going round the mountain right now. And he will drive the content train, choo-choo, for a good amount of the summer. Will he or will he not request a trade? Developing. Now, a lot of observing, the breathless reporting, minute-by-minute reporting. Says a lot of observing the Greek Freak is doing here, which is code for Giannis is already out there. He's concerned, he's confused, he's bewildered. He's not bemused, and he's Googling how to leave Milwaukee. How do I get out of Milwaukee? So, he's under an extension. So I mentioned this in previous episodes, and one of our listeners in Milwaukee emailed me, and a very kind gentleman, nice Midwestern hospitality, and then he MF'd me and all that and said, well, he signed an extension. He's not going anywhere. Okay. So let me address that. Since the gentleman with that nice Midwestern hospitality MF'd me and used every other curse word you can imagine, clearly inebriated. So extensions in the modern NBA, think of them like prenuptial agreements. They are meant to be broken when the ring does not come. The Bucks, if they whiff this summer, swing a whiff. Do not be shocked. Do not be shocked if Giannis presses that red button, and you know the one, that activates the escape hatch, and right into the transfer portal. Into the portal you go, and you follow all the buzzwords. I've noticed in recent years the modern buzzword for star player that's disgruntled, that wants to leave but doesn't want to seem like the bad guy, they say it's all about the fit, like you're going into a haberdashery and you're trying on a pair of pants or a jacket or something like that. It's all about the fit. And the timeline has to match up. They use that term. That's a buzz term they use a lot. And I need to see the vision. I need to see the vision. It's like you're at an art museum or something, at the Louvre. So if Giannis does decide to leave, this will all be negotiated on the side, right? On the side. Usual suspects, the Knicks, the Nets, because it's the New York market, the Warriors, the Heat, the Spurs, the usual suspects will all be in play. So file that one away. Now, final thought. So the NBA draft is now done. Nobody really paid attention to the second round, but the first round got a fair amount of attention, and there was a common theme that was shared by multiple people, including Windy, not Wendy's, although he likes it, Windy, who reported that a number of executives and agents were messaging him to tell jokes about the Nets. That the Nets were so incompetent that other executives took time out of the draft to just goof on how stupid the picks were for the Nets. All right, so the draft, they drafted like the United Nations there. They got a guy from Israel, a guy from France, the U.S. They even went outside the United Nations and added Russia. So should Brooklyn fans be worried? All three of them. Should the three Brooklyn fans be worried that NBA people were going out of the way to laugh and make fun of the Nets draft? So I am going to go, I got two letters for you. I've got N, and then I added an O, and my answer is no. My answer is no. Here's why. All right, who cares who's laughing? One thing I've learned from paying attention to these stupid drafts over the years is that nobody knows anything, right? And it's like open mic night at Ha Ha's Comedy Club because the Nets drafted players that weren't supposed to be picked there. It's the NBA draft, right? And if you're a Nets fan, all three of you, right, you shouldn't be worried about the chuckles. You shouldn't be worried about it. Here's why. It is the chaos theory of the world. The chaos theory of the universe in particular is this. Again, nobody knows anything. Nobody knows anything. And even when you think you've drafted the right player, he could turn out to be Kwame Brown throwing cakes and having that as his claim to fame. Or Andrew Bogut, who was just a role player, right? Not anything special. Or the host of other top picks that turned out to be Jags, just a guy. So you don't know. The industrial complex of the NBA draft is throwing darts blindfolded. That's what it is. You throw darts blindfolded. That's it. That's all. And also it's not who's laughing first. It's who ends up laughing last. I heard that somewhere along the way. That's most important. But the Nets have nothing. There's not a single name brand player on the Brooklyn Nets. They are flotsam and jetsam. That is a faceless franchise. So the good news is there's no sacred cows. You can't trade the most popular player on the Nets. They don't have one. No one's popular. So they've got nothing to lose. And so they're just experimenting. They're going into the laboratory and they're combining different chemicals and see if anything explodes.